7:14 on this Friday. Bob Zdora, mic number 2.
Yes, sir. Morning.
Howdy.
Sunny, nice day.
Yeah.
Went out. It was a beautiful day yesterday. It was nice. We got some nice pictures of a new listing we're working on. Yeah, it worked out real well. We've been down on the river the day before. We're getting pictures of one down there, and then the smoke started, and it kind of was starting to affect the photos a little bit. It's like, okay, we'll come back and do this again. Take some new ones
smoke
as
was
well.
Thick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? You know, when you get into whitewater down there, and you're down in those little roads, it's like, wait a minute, we could get cut off down here. So, but it's a beautiful day. It's a little rainy this weekend, but that's okay. We'll get by.
We could use a little rain.
Yeah.
We could use a little rain. So,
so don't try to get into Harps or Walmart today because it'll be probably a little congested with people.
You think they're going to issue a grocery store?
They're all waiting for the apocalypse because there's a chance of showers and ice. So
let's see what they're saying here.
But as we think about that and being prepared and having ourself in order, as it were, both with our religious end of it and our social and our physical end here. The importance of being prepared, of being, if this happens, what am I going to do? If that happens, what are we going to do? And as we deal with a lot of people who get into situations, John Cosby, as an example, it commercially does, when life throws you a curveball, and it can at any stage of our life. But more so as we get a little older, and as we look at where we are and where we are located. We've been dealing with some people that are out a little bit, and the kids are concerned and want them to get closer, and they need to get to the doctors more often than they maybe did before, and they don't need to be keeping that property up. And it's much better to be able to make that decision on your own. Mm-hmm. And at least, if not, I'm not saying that everybody needs to sell their house and move in. That's not where I'm at with this. But if you know that you're getting to that point, and you know that it's coming, or you know that dad's getting to that point, or mom's getting to that point, or your better half isn't quite as sharp as they were, and you worry about that, and you're concerned about them, and they know, I know that the files are the file cabinet's still there, but it's a matter of finding the files in the drawers. Sometimes can be a little more difficult. And that was a line I got yesterday, but it so describes it so well. We could come out. We can take a look at your home, see what we can do for that home there. Give you an idea of what it's worth, what you could possibly do to either improve it or not. Which happens more times than not. I tell people, unless it's something that's going to scare people away. We very seldom do we have people put any money into a home because the new buyer is going to personalize it. They're going to take that home. When a buyer buys a home, they're buying 85% of that house. If they like the location and the bones, the neighborhood, they can paint the walls. They can take that closet out. They can take
wallpaper if they want.
And that's at 85% that they're going to do. So. People that we go into people's homes. Oh, I was going to redo the bathroom. Well, that's going to be in your taste. It may not be in the taste of who the buyer is going to be, in the way that gets compensated for. Instead of you putting the money in and you're never going to get dollar for dollar back, and that's what you're going to want, obviously. Sure. Reduce the price by an amount that will bring buyers in who will to look at the house and say, well, that's a good idea. That bathroom does need to be torn out, but I was going to move the shower to that wall over there and do it this way.
Yeah, I want to do it my way.
That's very true.
You buy the basic bones
and so we don't. Very seldom do we have people redoing parts of their house. So the idea is to cut down on that expense for you now. Price the property correctly so that it sells and move on. But the important part is for you as a homeowner to be able to look at that decision yourself and not under a time of duress where you've got to get into the city, where you've got to get closer to the doctor, you've got to get up by the kids, you've got to get back to Cleveland, whatever the case may be. be prepared in that respect so that you have some idea of what it is you're looking at. This is what's going to happen. Bob and Linda come out, take a look at my house. What's going to happen if something happens? And we can go over all of that.
And the decision doesn't have to be made by March 15th or by April 20th.
Nope.
This is something you can call Bob and Linda and say, look, Joe's going to be 80. I'm going to be 78. The kids are in Des Moines. We got a son and daughter in Chicago. We're thinking about starting now to plan ahead.
Right. And that's what it is. That's what the plan needs to be.
2.5 years from now.
Yeah. But you don't know. And it just to have some idea of what it is you want to do. And to be prepared is a big thing. And the big houses are good when we're able to keep them up, when we're able to make sure that the grass is cut, that just cleaning and dusting and, vacuuming the floors and everything else. When it turns from a labor of love into a project.
To a chore,
to a dreaded, oh, God, it's Tuesday, I got to vacuum, or, whatever your routine may be, then you need to take a look at that and say, wait a minute, this is we're in a great quality of life place. And you should be able to enjoy that quality of life. We talked to bankers, and you think, well, I can only get this much for the house, and I know I can't buy another house for that, and that may be, but the banks will give you money. Mm-hmm. The banks will.
That's their job.
That's their job. They will give you money, and the rates are down again. If you've been sitting there thinking, well, we should. If you're a new buyer and you're thinking we should be doing something, now is really a good time to be doing that because Yellen's going to knock the rates up again, and with the rates being down, this is an excellent time. But don't think that, well, I'm too old. They're not going to give me a mortgage. They gave me one for 30 years. They're nuts. I hope I can pay it off, and if I don't, they'll get their money back in one way or another. Yeah. I mean, it's that's just the way it is. So don't feel that, I can only buy this because we can't afford it anymore. And I'm not talking about taking on a huge, $200,000-$300,000 mortgage on something. But if you need a little more money to be able to get you into a nicer home in town that's more in with the type of the lifestyle that you're leading now, closer to church, closer to the doctor, closer to the senior center, closer to the Maruck Center, these types of things, then you really need to take a look at it. And I use the phrase that, you can make more money, but you can't make more time. Yeah. And while you may not go out and get another job, it may be a matter of saying, okay, well, we're only going to go out and eat out twice a week instead of what we're doing now, those type of things. And you change your lifestyle a little bit. You can make more money, but you can't make more time, and that's the most precious commodity.
And I think every family's gone through what we talk about every Friday. I remember my grandparents, when my grandfather was nearing retirement age in the early 70s, they had a big house and a big yard.
Yeah.
But they had 4 boys, but eventually the 4 boys got married, and moved off, and all of a sudden, my grandfather was having to mow that big yard by himself, and then they retired and bought 8 acres in southeast Missouri. Well, that was all fine and dandy. They were still young enough to handle it, but time moves on.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And like I say, it's important for you to make your decisions and not have that duress where something catastrophic happens, and now it's like, oh, my God, we got to do something right now. People fall, they break hips, they need a knee replacement, and they can't get around. There's any number. We're living longer. So, and as a result of that, we end up having more doctor care than our parents or anyone had ever thought.
Well, yeah, and come think of it, in the early 70s, I think one heart transplant had been experimented with, perhaps.
Sure. Look at where we are now. Yeah. So
it's Chad Pline, the new sports director at Channel 3, 39 years old, had one artery totally blocked. He went in, on a Friday morning, had open heart surgery, and went home on Monday and enjoyed Christmas with his family.
Yeah. Life is good. Woo! Miracles of modern
we wish
science.
Him well.
Yes, indeed.
Wish him well. But, it's just that's the parameter between now and what we experienced with my grandparents. And I know that people listening in, we've had that happen,
Sure.
The kids moved off to Cleveland or to, Charlotte, North Carolina or something like that. And, hey, we've got 8 acres here we got to keep mowed. We don't have all the kids here to help out,
Sometimes it's 2 acres. 1 acre. You just can't get on that mower anymore. Mm-hmm. There's condos. There's a lot of options. And we have Good Sam. We have all these other facilities that you could adjust how much attention and care you want or need. And that's really, there's a lot of options out there that people don't really think about, and we can help them make those decisions. That's what we do. We help people solve problems.
And like I said, you and Linda are willing to sit down and say, okay,
I'm not saying here, sign this contract.
What's your long-term plan? Are we talking 2016, 17, 18? Are we talking 2020?
Yeah. And some it is, it's time. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. And we can help get to that done. We have people that can come and help get the houses cleaned out, get things done. That's very important to people.
Sure
that they, to take that burden from them and be able to help carry it. That's what we've been doing. That's what we are. I'll hit the numbers here real quick.
Sure.
For this week in real estate, there were 34 new listings came on. There were 10 parcels of land, 2 commercial properties. 22 homes came on the market at a range of $20,000 to $925,000. The average price this week was $208,000. There were only 6 sales this week, and I'm thinking that must have been, this is probably 45 days from the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
So there were only a few went under contract, and they're just coming out now. But 5 homes sold this week, and they sold from $58,000 to $280,000. The average sale price was $122,000. The average listed price was $136,000. $610,000 closed this week. That was still not a bad, in the grand scheme of things, not bad. 6 properties expired. 55 are pending. There's 778 homes listed as active in some form or another on MLS. So that's still a good number. For 2015 year to date, there were 58 sales for $5.8 million. For 2016, there's been 70 sales for $8.4 million.
You've got 8.4 already?
Already, yeah, and we had 5.8 last year. So when you look at that,
43
and
days
we're 12
into the
sales,
year,
and we're 12, yeah. And so as you go forward, last year we were in an upwards movement, and now we're on an upwards movement this year.
Now, is this a graceful incline? Are we climbing the stairs slowly?
Yeah,
here?
It's hard. It's still early. It's only the second week of February. When we get to the first quarter, and we'll get a little better look of how things actually are. That's why you got to watch short windows or percentages can be very deceptive too. We've increased by 60%. Well, yeah, it's because you went from 1 to 1.5. That's so you can't always count those. I want to remind everybody we have a candidate forum in Marion County tomorrow at the fairground from 2
to 4.
2 to 4. The Marion County Fairground is on Sewell Street. It's in that Summit Yellville area. It's sponsored by the Marion County Republicans. We're going to have candidates for a number of races. I know Curtis Coleman's coming. There's a number, all the JP spots. Judges will be there. So we want you to come out and participate so that you're an informed voter. Early voting starts Tuesday.
And
go ahead.
I talked with Jerry Cox of Family Council, the political action committee that stands for family values. I'm going to have somewhere around 20 voters' guides coming in this weekend. I hope to have them here by Monday.
Oh, good.
Ken Yang called and says, I'm putting them in the mail now. He's going to mail them to my home, but I'll make those available to the voters because early voting starts on the 16th.
It does. It's Tuesday.
And the voter guide covers everything in Arkansas, and it shows how every candidate in the state for every office stands on the issues.
Yeah.
So I'll have those available next week.
Great. And then there's jail tours in the Marion County Jail. If you have any questions about the jail that's on the ballot, please stop by the jail today from 11 to 6 and come by and see what the situation is over there. And I want to thank the Marucks for their gracious ad. It was a great ad yesterday, yes.
Yeah. Coming up on News Time, I want to wish a special person a happy birthday today. Pastor Dave Kapler, Trinity Lutheran Church. Outstanding gentleman, great family. Happy birthday, Pastor Kapler.
Good. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Well, that brings us up to news time. We'll be right back. Stick around.